Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us on New Dawn. It is 6 a.m. in Nairobi, Kenya on this Monday, the 24th of June, 2024. Many thanks for joining us on the broadcast. My name is Michelle Ngele Odhiambo. We're glad you could join us this morning, and we'd like to hear where you are watching us from. Do speak to us on our SMS feedback line 21222. You can also speak to us on X at K24 Tv. The hashtag is New Dawn. We'll be sampling your thoughts and comments in the course of this live broadcast as we discuss look what's making headlines this morning and issues that will be shaping the news for the next 1 week, a make or break week for Kenya in the debate on the Finance Bill 2024. So let's begin with us making headlines on the news this morning, and we begin with a look at the Standard newspaper's front page. It says the revolt continues. That's the top page there, and we have a picture of street demos as MPs gather to debate the finance bill tomorrow. And Kenyans have reiterated their stand that they object to the punitive tax measures. And this was displayed yesterday when Kenyans and other protesters staged a protest in Nyahururu, where President William Ruto and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, among a host of other Kenya Kwanza leaders, were attending a church service. Take a look at that.
Security was today beefed up in and outside the AC Kenya Nyahururu Diocese, where President William Ruto and his deputy attended a Sunday service. This was after youthful Kenyans who had threatened to occupy the church made good their threat by coming in huge numbers. All measures were set to deter the angry protesters from accessing the venue. As opposed to past instances where the president has attended church services with no significant changes to screening protocols for congregants, it was different as a tent was set up with the latest security screening equipment installed. The security personnel were leaving nothing to chance at the church, with additional measures and layers of security screening added. All congregants went through the tent for thorough checks that was taken over by the security agencies before making their way to the venue. The men of the cloth who were the host of the president were surprisingly not given a special treatment, all being frisked. Reports indicate that the search was also to ensure that no one made into the venue with any protest placard or related material. Bottled drinking water and other soft drinks were also not allowed. The Gen Z, however, continue with the demos despite the mass going on. Former Cabinet Secretary Cecily Kariuki has now warned that such movements could snowball to a revolution and is proper to urgently address grievances by the youth.
The government has gotten away with other things that the citizens were not happy with and have really pushed down some of the laws and policies and things that Kenyans were not very comfortable with in the past. I single out the housing levy. And because that passed, I think that they have assumed even the finance bill, as had been tabled, was going to also sail through. But they have met their match now.
Joel Chacha, K24 TV, Nairobi.
President William Ruto has assured youth that he will listen to their grievances regarding their dissatisfaction of the 2024 finance bill. The president was attending a Sunday service at the Anglican Church in Nyahururu, praised the youth for demonstrating peacefully, regardless of tribe and social class. He says he is ready to engage them, even as youth held a protest in Nyahururu after his address at the church.
In their zeal to demonstrate each day, these youth are not willing to relent anytime soon.
The oppression must go. It must.
Unless Parliament yields into their demands to shoot down the finance bill with temperatures already high as the day of reckoning, which is Tuesday next week, inches closer. And today, President William Ruto has broken his silence.
Our young people have stepped forward to engage on the affairs of their country.
While attending a church service at ACK Church in Nyahururu, Laikipia County, where he also witnessed the consecration of Bishop Samson Buru, the president said he is ready to engage the youth.
I am very proud of our young people. They have stepped forward tribeless. They have stepped forward peaceful. And I want to tell them, we are going to engage them. We are going to have a conversation so that together we can build a greater nation.
Also revealing that job creation will be key for the youth through increase in bursary allocations.
In this year's budget, I have enhanced the budget going to CDF to increase by 10 billion so that young people can get bursary, and young people, we can build ICT hubs so that these young people can get digital jobs.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was also present, said there is no time to divide Kenyans with divisive statements.
We have seen a lot of toxic talk in churches, a lot of insults, a lot of people talking at each other, and we don't want that anymore. So please, utosheke, lete rais aongee, Wakristo watosheke.
Electin Odera, K24 TV.
The Reject Finance Bill 2024 protests have found their way to the altar at major churches across the country this weekend, with the Gen Z taking the protests a notch higher. And as opposed to previous Sundays, when politicians have taken to the pulpit, this Sunday was significantly different. With bold messages, the youth took it upon themselves to warn their leaders against the finance bill. Here's Robbie Omondi with the details.
What began as the Reject Finance Bill 2024 movement on the streets in different parts of the country took center stage in the churches today. At the Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi, a young man walked his way to the pulpit, draped in the Kenyan flag to express himself, interrupting the service for a few seconds.
Have you taken your time to read the Finance Bill 2024? As most of you are aware, if not all, this bill is not only to overtax Kenyans, but also to promote oppression, which generally leads to a very poor quality of life for most people who are not as endowed as the people who are in power. We also urge you as Christians to take time to go through it in depth, as this is something that affects our nation as a whole. For a very long time, the church has been a pillar of justice and a voice of reason. This too is a matter that the church should stand firm in. It cannot afford to be impartial.
What started as a single voice was followed by loud chants by the congregation, who also joined in.
We as the youth welcome you to an interdenominational prayer walk today from 3 p.m. GPO to Archive. The support from the church as a whole is an important thing when it comes to ensuring the agenda of rejecting the Finance Bill 2024 is successful. We would like to urge you as Christians, pray for us, and to remind you that the enemy is one, the Finance Bill. Thank you.
The situation was not far from the same at the SCK Pro Cathedral Church in Nyahururu, where President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua were attending a service. The clergy, being aware of the ongoing protests in the country, found a way to comment on the same, with one preacher urging President Ruto to listen to Kenyans who are protesting.
The Gen Zs have no tribe, no religion, no class, but they are our children. They are not enemies of the nation. They are our children. We love you and we welcome you. We want to discern what you are saying, and we pray that the Lord will give us a moment of listening to one another and understanding. So to Your Excellency and the leadership of this country, this is a discerning moment. Not so much talking, but I think listening to one another and reaching out to one another.
At Nairobi Chapel, events of the week that saw the Gen Z usher a new chapter in the history of Kenya revisited.
I think you realize the Kenyan population, over 75% are in that generation. So let us not underestimate their power. Let us not. If we are wise enough, if the government was wise enough, we will know that there is an issue here to be addressed.
The courage witnessed during the protests when thousands took to the streets to hold elected leaders accountable was also lauded.
Let them continue reminding us about the social injustices, corruption in our country, because that is what is happening.
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Meanwhile, in an implicatory revelation, Juja Member of Parliament George Koimburi now says that his fellow parliamentarians were offered 2 million shillings each to vote for the controversial finance bill to enter the committee stage, despite spirited protests by civil society groups, opposition lawmakers and the youth. 204 lawmakers voted for the passage of the controversial bill, while 115 rejected the proposed tax collection law. The bill now moves to the committee stage, and a third reading where, if it passes, will be sent to President William Ruto for assent. Although a section of MPs who voted for the bill have come out to defend themselves, arguing that they okayed the proposed law to facilitate socio-economic development in their constituencies, Kumburi claims that their self-protective statements were untrue.
Muthenya uria turaroka guikia kura gitumi kia nie ku vote no ni tondu ni tweteirwo mbia ni murona mbeca irakuo na makonia thiini wa bururi uyu tukirwo kura yothe iria iraikia yes ni kaheo milioni 2 ngiuria milioni 2 ikurutwo ni undu wake ona itare na interest ne ya gutwiria niki tureka girara utuko mugima ngithoma finance bill oho ngikora migunda iria twinayo guku iria ina taito iria mwitaga cia freehold ni gucenjio taito icio ikanjo ituike leasehold title.
The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists unions across the country have blasted the government for allegedly abducting Dr. Austin Omondi, popularly known as Japrado on X, who was released last night. Omondi, who has been a frontliner in providing health services to the injured during the Gen Z demos, is said to have been abducted Thursday afternoon while conducting a blood donation drive in Gara. And as Martin Opio now reports, his kidnapping came hours after another influencer, Billy Simani, was released from custody.
As the youths across the country, popularly referred to as the Gen Zs, gear up for another round of protests in the coming week, they are a worried lot over arbitrary arrests and disappearances of frontliners leading the demos. On Sunday, the Kenya Medical Practitioners raised alarm over claims that suspected government agents had kidnapped one of their members, Dr. Austin Omondi, who goes by the name of Japrado on X.
We are asking all doctors across the country that tomorrow morning, if they have not released Dr. Austin Omondi, we need to report to different police stations. You don't need to report to work because you are not safe.
He cannot be doing this great, thankless job that you are supposed to be doing and still sleep in an undisclosed location. We want to remind this government that we will continue to press, we will continue to occupy until Dr. Austin is released.
Omondi has been at the front line organizing for treatment for the victims of police brutality during the demos and is said to have been arrested while conducting a blood donation drive at Sikh Union in Gara, Nairobi.
Once we had the distress call, we tried to help and swiftly moved in. And we were informed to go to Pangani police station, and after being taken round and round, we were told to come to Parklands police station.
On Thursday, KMPDU pitched tent at the Jamia Mosque where they offered their free services in solidarity with the Gen Z's cause.
When medics come out to try and help those who are demonstrating, they should not be seen as if they are breaking the law and in this case, being abducted.
His abduction is coming hours after the release of Billy Simani, who goes by the name of Crazy Nairobian on X. His arrest sparked outrage, with Kenyans joining in the X conversation, which attracted over 50,000 listeners, with President William Ruto briefly joining the conversation. Other government officials also joined the conversation. Billy would be released late into the night through the efforts of Law Society of Kenya. Billy had been missing since Friday.
And so as LSK, we had thought that Billy had been freed. But when we sent someone to the station, we found that Billy was not there and he had not been booked. And so the moment we got a tip-off, we ran immediately to try and find Billy.
I'm safe. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to LSK for coming in for the rescue. I'm fine, guys.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Concerns among the online community and perceived frontliners in the demos have been growing as claims of being targeted by state agents continue to grow. The government is facing an uphill task of finding modalities on how to deal with the demos from a group that have been protesting without causing harm or destruction of property. Security chiefs on Saturday were holed up in meetings to discuss protests that are growing every day and are taking the country by storm. This comes as the Attorney General Justin Muturi's family is questioning the whereabouts of their son Leslie Muturi, who is alleged to have been kidnapped in Nairobi's Lavington area at around 9:30 on Saturday. The motive is still unknown. CCTV footages in K24's possession shows moments before the businessman was abducted or arrested. At the time, he was with Embakasi West legislator Mark Mwenje, who is laying blame on the police.
I was the one following him. This is his car. Take the video. These are my friends who are right here.
Can you close the door?
I'm following him. Yeah? And the police who have taken him, we are here and we are going to find you guys.
Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, the Reject Finance Bill campaign enters its second week today, with Gen Zs taking charge and calling out legislators for what they term as betrayal. Over the weekend, nightclubs and entertainment joints are platforms the Gen Zs used to air their voice. Take a look.
Demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024 took a different twist last evening, with this coming week's protest expected to escalate as the Finance Bill enters its third reading. Revelers in different entertainment joints across the country were last night seen chanting against what they termed as punitive taxes. For close to 20 minutes, they engaged in songs to express their dissatisfaction and disappointment with the Kenyan anthem, promising to forge forward with their quest. A good example was renowned Luo folk musician popularly known as Prince Inda, who took the opportunity to reaffirm his stance on the bill.
We reject. We reject. We reject. We reject. We reject.
The 7 days of rage campaign kicks off tomorrow with a push to getting more than 2 million votes to recall the legislators who supported the bill taking center stage.
Meanwhile, government spokesperson Isaac Mwaura has dismissed Saturday's X-Space conversation against the finance bill that hosted about 60,000 Kenyans, most of whom were Kenyan youth. Mwaura says the discussion did not create a fair platform for leaders to air out their views, saying the discussion cannot be one-sided. He has continued to defend the bill, asking Gen Zs to stop acting as if this is the first Kenyan finance bill. His sentiments come as the finance bill continues to elicit reactions and tension across the country, as Mumbio Mbugu now reports.
Youths from different walks of lives, especially the Generation Z, have continued to come out in masses to advocate for the rejection of the finance bill. On Saturday, an X-Space conversation attracted about 60,000 Kenyans where discussions against the finance bill and leaders being held accountable took place. The government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura, has now aired his sentiments in regards to the virtual meeting.
It was good that people came together to speak about the topics around the finance bill. Although kuna vile, they gagged us, those of us who are leaders, from the government side, not from speaking. But if it's a conversation and it's genuine, let it be two ways, so that you get to understand our point of view as we listen to your questions and your points of view.
Mwaura has approved that the protests against the finance bill are a constitutional right. However, he has told Gen Zs to calm down and stop behaving as if this is the first Kenya's finance bill to ever be proposed. He has further defended the bill, saying it is meant to benefit all Kenyans.
We are very keen on ensuring that we reduce expenditures, we look at issues of climate change, so that we can have more livelihood, secure for our people. But it's also good to realize people think that this is the first time we are having the finance bill, No, there is always a finance bill every year.
The spokesperson further said that the increase of taxes in the various sectors is the government's effort to clear the public debt, which currently stands at 8%. He further claimed that the government is trained by the debts that were borrowed by the previous regimes, and the current one has a mandate to save the country from debts.
It's important to say that we are trying very hard as a government to pay off our loans. Like now by June, this June in Aisha, we are finalizing the repayment of the Eurobond. And people are expecting, even other countries, that we are going to default. Kwamba kuna budget ya 3.9 trillion, 1.2 alone is going to pay debts, which is 34% of the whole budget. 34%. Yani 34% ya hii budget yote inaenda kulipa wasee mambo ya nini ya debt.
Mwaura's sentiments come as the Director of Public Prosecution, Benson Igonga, issues stern warning to the protesters, saying that despite a constitutional right to demonstrate, the law must be observed. Political leaders from different sides of the divide have also clashed over the finance bill.
Wale wote ambao wanafanya vitendo ambavyo sivyo vinalingana na sheria, hata akiwa mtoto wako akishikwa, usianze kusema DPP, hebu saidia hapa kama mtoto wako anavunja sheria. Jaribu tuwahimize watoto wetu wasivunje sheria. Because wakivunja sheria, sheria haina msamaha. Tutaifuata mpaka mwisho.
Mumbi Wambogo, K24 TV.
That report by Mumbi Wambugu brings us to a break on New Dawn. When we come back, a look at us making headlines on the dailies on this Monday, the 24th of June. Even as we delve deep into that unrelenting Gen Z revolution, some say these Gen Z protests have brought a wokeism to Kenya in the most incredible and fascinating way. We'll be discussing a bit more on that, even as the debate on the finance bill of 2024 enters a make or break stage this week. The hashtag is New Dawn. Speak to us on X at K24 TV. We'll be sampling your thoughts and comments in the course of this live broadcast. Do stay with us.
The biggest reggae and rhythm show ever on Kenyan television.
You have a ganja man and you wanna forget.